Okay, streaming GT Online now. Okay, okay, here we go. Okay. Okay, we are live right now. Okay, here we go. Okay, hi, how's everyone doing? Yeah, sorry I started the stream kind of late today. I've just been busy this week, but next week I'll be starting them earlier. Whoa, whoa. Okay. Thank you, Gorgle. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Crime Boss is gonna... We're near the end of Crime Boss. It's only gonna be a few more parts. Because I finish every game I start, so I'm gonna finish that one too. Okay, WRV, you can sell because I'm pretty close to the, I'm pretty close to your business anyways. Is your GTA 4 video coming today? Tomorrow it'll come out earlier. I made a post about it earlier. I'm sorry about that. I've just, You doing this, huh? The products in the back of the truck. Let me take the truck. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. It's just that I'm just trying to record, like, one specific clip. But I'll have it up tomorrow. Have I played Kingdom Hearts? No, I haven't, but I know the game. There's a, the GTA 4 lore video, I don't think it's gonna be that long. It's probably gonna be, like, somewhere around 15 to 20 minutes long. What is it? There's a specific Weasel News broadcast that I need to record. And there's a specific mission I need to complete again to get that thing to play on the radio, and so I have to complete a few more missions to get that recording to play. Thank you, Shark, for the super chat. Thanks, man. Have you noticed how tight Rockstar is with online payouts? What do you mean? What online payouts are you talking about? Yes, I will do Red Dead Redemption this year. Who do you think is a bigger scumbag, Tenpenny from San Andreas or Stansfield in Leon the Professional? I've seen Leon the Professional before. Stansfield, he's that psycho corrupt cop. I remember him. Who's worse? Probably Tenpenny, because Tenpenny had just caused way more chaos with just his whole support of the Los Santos crack empire. But Stansfield was a pretty much a psycho also. Like, when he killed that girl's family in the movie, yeah, he's a psycho. Will I play Max Payne one day? I've done a playthrough of Max Payne 3, Harvey, but I'm willing to play the old Max Payne games and do a playthrough of them. Finish your mission like Loid Yor and Anya Forger. Thank you, Dynasty. I thank you for sponsoring my channel again. What do you mean? Which characters are those? I'm sorry. I'm just honestly a bit confused. Play Hitman. I will have another Hitman Freelancer video, but this one is gonna be a hardcore playthrough of the entire Hitman Freelancer campaign in like one big video. It's a reference to Spy X Family. Oh, that anime. I know the anime, I just don't know the characters. Okay. I have Payday 2. I could start doing playthroughs of Payday 2 one day also. Maybe get ready for Payday 3. What are your thoughts on Hitman Absolution? Well, Hitman Absolution was... How do I say about Hitman Absolution? It was a good game. but it was very linear. Compared to most other, most other Hitman games are much more open. That one was very linear. And I don't mind the linear game for just one game at least, because that was supposed to be Agent 47's story, his own personal story. But that's only one game. I don't think they should ever do a linear game like that again. They should just keep it open, like they have. But if I do a playthrough of Payday 2, what I'll have to do is I'll have to re-download the game and on my own and play a little bit of it on my own again, because I used to play it a lot back in the day, but I haven't played it in a few years, and if I play it now, I'm gonna suck. So I gotta get used to it again. Please cosplay as the Payday gang. I could try to do that. Thank you, Mr. Weifu. And thank you, AN, for sponsoring my channel. How many businesses can you help me with? And if electricity don't go like yesterday, can you help me with a few challenges in DMZ? Possibly later, but I have to finish my lore video tonight, though. So maybe if I have time afterwards. Okay, it's waiting for that truck to be delivered. Hey, Jonathan, how are you, man? So what's your lore video going to be about? It's going to be a GTA 4 character. And it's going to be about a GTA 4 character that you don't think he plays that much of a role, but he's actually very, very important. And I'm going to explain some things with him that a lot of people didn't notice. Hey Pro, I hope you are doing good. I just started watching a good movie tonight. It's called Race 2016. It's about Jesse Owen. Oh, thank you, Jacob. Jesse Owen is the, he's the African-American, runner in the Olympics, right? I think that's who Jesse Owen was. And he won a gold medal, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. This was in the 1930s, right? This was in 30s when this happened, I think. Thank you, Jacob, for the super chat. Do you think there's gonna be another Red Dead Redemption game? Probably, but the next Red Dead Redemption game is gonna be probably afterwards. I can't picture them doing it with the same character. I mean, there's some characters might pop up, but it's gonna be a whole brand new story. Do you notice the U.S. flag in Red Dead Redemption 2 actually has 45 stars? Yeah, because a lot of the states haven't become states yet. Pro, can you tell us a story? If I can think of something, I'll tell it. Most of my stories I've told already, but okay, let's get over here. I became a member today. Oh, thank you, Jacob, for sponsoring my channel. Thanks, man. More history lessons of Pro. Loving the outfit, by the way. Chaz put, for my, G the Pro. Chat put the hands for my, G the Pro. Thank you. Thank you, Joker. Thanks, man. That is correct. It wouldn't be until 1949 that Alaska and Hawaii would become states, and Arizona was 1912. Well, you gotta love attention to detail like that in Red Dead Redemption 2. Thank you for the super chat, Joker. You know another thing that's not really mentioned in Red Dead Redemption 2? In 1898, the same year that Red Dead Redemption 2 takes place, America is actually at war in that time, and it's at war with Spain. So, Spain and America are actually having a war at the same time Red Dead Redemption 2 is taking place. Hey, Pro, can we talk after the stream? I feel broken on the inside. I don't know who to talk to. Yeah, we could. We could, Blinded Eagle. Thank you for the super chat, man. Just send me a message, and I'll message you, and maybe we can chat in a party after the stream. Thank you for the super chat, man. You haven't escaped me. I will raid your businesses now, Hilo. Oh, thank you for the super chat. Yeah, when I was playing Crime Boss, Hilo was making me rage because it was getting really annoying. It was constant attack after attack after attack. But right now, I'm on my last Crime Boss part. I had to retry because Chuck Norris is about to arrest me, and I didn't think I could get to the end of the game. But right now, I'm like controlling 20 to 30 territories. I just eliminated the cartel. I'm about to eliminate the bikers. And then all I'm going to have left is I'm going to have Hilo and the Italian Mafia. They're the only ones that are going to be left. And once I take them out, I'll beat Crime Boss. Any chance of some Saints Row top 5 videos ever? Yes, Aaron. One of my viewers actually told me, gave me a great idea the other day in a stream. It was that I should talk about the most evil things the Saints did in like a top 10 video. I could definitely do something like that. Thank you, Aaron. Oh. When are we playing Kane and Lynch multiplayer? When I finish Kane and Lynch 2 Dog Days, I can do a video on the multiplayer. Modern Warfare 2 lore video? I want to, just don't know if I'll get around to it. I wanted to do one on General Shepard and why he betrayed Task Force 141 again in Modern Warfare the reboot. Top 10 most cringiest moments in Cringe Row. That's actually a good one, Mr. Waifu. I could probably do that. Thank you for the super chat. Never let anyone get you down. Haters only hate because they hate something about themselves. I believe in you all with Win Community. Thank you, Joker. Thanks, man. I used to, you know, back in the day on my channel, like, it was like the haters, like, you know, I had people like harassing me like a lot of times, and it would get to me a lot of times, but I eventually just learned to deal with it and just started ignoring it, and eventually, for the most part, it stopped. I do have some people that, you know, occasionally come to my channel and talk crap to me, but for the most part, it has stopped. You can make a top 50 cringe moments for the Saints Row reboot. Thank you, Aaron. Okay. Want to do my Kaio later? Yeah, we could do that. And you were asking about my sleep schedule earlier. It kind of got messed up, but I'm kind of fixing it again. I could tell you that. So it was so this story, I don't think I've ever told this story on my stream. This something that happened to me. This happened to me like 10 years ago. This was when I was visiting Florida, and I was visiting one of my friends who moved to Florida, and I was there with my friend and my other friend, and what happened was we went to a gun range in Florida. And when we went to the gun range in Florida, we fired a few firearms at the gun range, and trying to remember what we fired. It was all three of us, we chose a different, you know, gun to rent to fire. And one of my friends, he chose the, I remember the Beretta handgun. That was the one he wanted to fire. My other friend, he wanted to fire the lever action. I think it was a 30-30. And I chose to fire an AK-47 because I always wanted to shoot an AK-47. Now, for the most part, it was a fun experience. But then there was this one idiot that came by. We didn't know him. It was just some guy who came by the range. This happened 10 years ago. So there was this idiot who came by the shooting range. And the idiot who came into the shooting range, he wasn't like standing all the way in the booth, because the booth is like these little like walls that separate you when you're in the shooting range. That's meant to stop the casings from flying over into the other booth. And what basically happened was, because he was standing a bit back. Now I don't know much about the magazine on this. Somebody that knows a little bit more about firearms probably knows more of what I'm talking about. But the guy had a Glock, which is a handgun. And he had this, like, ridiculously long magazine on it. Like, it was like a Glock with, like, a round drum on both sides. Like, it was a drum on both sides of it. Like, I don't know how many bullets are in that thing. But regardless, what the guy did with that Glock, he didn't stand all the way in the booth, and he rapid-fired it. And what ended up happening is, because he was, because he didn't stand all the way in the booth, the casings actually flew to the side. And I was in actually the next booth, and the casings all flew and actually kind of hit me in the face and the shoulder. Not the bullet, the casings from it, so the thing that ejects from the firearm. And those were hot. Those were hot. I didn't get burnt or anything like that, but it was annoying. And what happened was, at first, I didn't know what hit me. I just felt like something pegged me. It was kind of hot. I didn't know what happened. And then what ends up happening is, maybe like a minute later, the guy who actually owns the range actually comes out into the room and actually just screams at the guy and kicks him out. So that was the experience that I had. It was a bad one there, but I think I watched Forensic Files a bit when I was in high school. It was the police show, right? Hey, hello, Pro. Hello from Singapore. Hard to catch you live. Oh, thank you, Chester. I'm gonna try to do the next streams a few hours earlier. You're in Singapore, right? Did you ever check out my Medal of Honor videos? Because there was actually a few missions that actually take place in Singapore in Medal of Honor Rising Sun. Was it an old AK-47 or a newer one? I think it was a newer one. It had like the wooden stock on it. What I think is the worst video game company? The worst video game company. That is a very difficult question to answer. If I would say the largest example of a company that I wouldn't say is the worst company, but a company that has really, you know, gone downhill, it's Rockstar. Just a lot of the things that they've done. If I would have to say the most greediest, you know, video game company, probably be EA, but EA is more like the publisher. The worst video game developer that they don't listen to their fans at all, I would say would have to probably be Volition for Saints Row. Okay, I'll see you. Take care, Jacob. I'm sick losing my voice, so maybe not party chat. Oh, okay, Blinded Eagle, just message me, and I'll reply to you after the stream. What do I think about Seamus Blackley? He's known as the father of the Xbox. I don't know who that is, Zombie. If you could explain it to me a little bit more, I just don't know that much about who that guy is. Okay, I'll see you, Joker. Jacob. Hey, Pro, did you think that Johnny Clouds was a pretty good president of Lost MC? For the time that he was president, yeah. There wasn't, but, you know, GTA 5 is a completely different story. Thank you, Victor. I'm trying to get used to driving in GTA 4, and I thought driving in GTA 5 back in 2013 was hard enough for me. Really really loving the gameplay, though. Oh, thank you, Victor. GTA 4, I was actually playing it earlier today, because I was editing my lore video. And yes, the driving is just completely different. Okay, we got one more drop here to make. Were the Pinkertons real people? Yes, and they exist today. The Pinkertons still exist. They're called Securitas AB today, though. They changed their name. You like jazz? I'll listen to pretty much anything. He was one of the guys involved in the inception of the first Xbox. Oh, okay. Is he still around to helping to manage the Xbox today? Can you do Kane and Lynch 2 tomorrow? Will be the next part. Would you rather have Bully 2 or Manhunt reboot? Well, probably Bully 2 because it's probably more people have requested it. I haven't played either games. Thank you, Blinded Eagle.
We selling?
Okay, get over these helicopters. I'll fly one. I'm pretty good with this. Have you tried Outlast Trials? No, I haven't. Yes, I'm willing to do a Red Dead Redemption 1 playthrough, definitely on the channel. Are you mad at Rockstar for killing off Johnny? Yep. That was definitely a stupid thing Rockstar did. They should have never done that. Dumb thing they did. What DLC would you like in the summertime? Honestly, I don't know what else they could add, really, in this game. What I would like to see is I'd like to see another quality of life update. I'd like to see, like, the businesses that we have, like, expanding on them. But this time, maybe expand on the MC businesses. Make the MC businesses better. Like, give us more sell missions for the MC businesses. Let us choose the sell missions. What's your wish list for everywhere? Oh, you're talking about Leslie Benzie's open world game. Hoping it has a lot of crime elements in like GTA. I'm hoping that it has freedom of choice in that game, that you can choose what you want to do. I'm hoping the map is pretty big. Else, I'd like a serious realistic storyline, not like too much, too much over the top action, but it is gonna be still in the future, so we're probably gonna have some machines in that. But I'd like the story to also be kind of dark. Like I'd like GTA 4 dark, like kind of like not a not a more cheerful story like GTA 5, for example. My favorite Red Dead line. Was it when Arthur says revenge is a fool's errand? Without being controversial, it's for obvious reasons. Would you, what would be the top 3 things you would do if you were president, senator, government official? Thank you, Eagle. Thank you for the super chat. Well, I don't know how to really answer that question. I would say that, one thing that, what is it, here? Let me just see where my drops are first so I can get these in order. I would say that any company that is associated with the Communist Party of China, I would not allow that company to buy any kind of land in America. So that was any company that's directly tied to the Communist Party of China. Because when Americans try to buy land, if an American company tries to buy land in China or like Russia, for example, they don't let them. But, you know, we have companies, Chinese companies, for example, that come into America and they buy like dozens of farmlands in like North Dakota, for example. And the media isn't really talking about this, but, you know, a country like China, for example, China controls most of America's manufacturing, but you don't want a country like China to also control America's farms. Because America grows most of its food. Food is one of the few things that America makes on its own, doesn't export from other countries. And so you would not want a country like China, a government like China, to be in charge of food production in America. That's what I would say about that. That's just one of the things I would personally think. I would also, what I would say is, I would probably punish companies that would sell out American values for like money. Personally, like for example, like, you know what Activision and Blizzard did. You know, when there was that a few years ago, when there was that player from Hong Kong, and he was he won some Blizzard tournament. I think it was World of Warcraft or something. I don't remember what it was, the game he was playing. But he won the tournament, and then he said free Hong Kong in that. And what ended up happening is Blizzard tried to deny him the prize money. And they were doing that primarily because of their business ties in China. And so you had like an American company that would sacrifice like, you know, human rights and, you know, freedom of speech just to suck up to the Communist Party of China. So I hope that answered your question a bit, is that, you know, I would not let the Communist Party of China have so much influence in American politics, nor would I let companies. I don't have a problem with Chinese citizens purchasing land in America, but any like company that's directly tied to the government of China, like companies that have direct ties to the Communist Party of China, I don't think they should be allowed to buy land in America, personally. That's just my view on it. Okay, hope I answered your question there. I do so quick, what, the mission?
And we have a sale. Digital assets transferred to your account.
Okay, let me see here. Okay, let's go to his next business here. It was Overwatch. Oh, it was Overwatch where that happened. Okay.
So,
Oh no, this mission, great. Wonderful.
How you doing?
Yeah, but when you guys get a chance to Google what I said exactly, look up Chinese, you know, government companies buying land in North Dakota, and you'll see they're buying tons of farms, and some of them are very close to U.S. military bases. It's something the media doesn't really tend to talk about. I would personally also be in favor of, like, you know, any companies that are tied to the Russian government from buying land also in America. Okay. 4 miles, here we go. Don't use that minigun on there, because we're going to get cops even quicker. I'm going to start calling Lester, because you're going to get cops, like, halfway through this ride here.
How can I be of service?
It's okay, don't worry about it, man. The Ruiner 2000 shocks people when your doors are locked. I heard about that. A lot of people have been saying that in my video, but I actually did not know about that. I actually didn't know about that one. We gotta test that. It's okay, WRV. I'll take care of it.
What do you want? Come on. So you don't want to get in serious trouble, huh? Okay, leave it with me.
Funniest Red Dead Redemption 2 mission. The mission where Arthur is probably drunk in the saloon. He's looking for Lenny. Okay, driving like this, left to right, left to right. This is probably the best way to go about when you do this mission.
Dude, it's fucking weird. It's like a landing strip in the desert.
Thank you, Super Random Guy. Thank you for subscribing to me, man. Whoa, whoa. Sorry about that. Okay.
I need some wheatgrass, tofu, and some chia seeds.
Oh no. Probably John Marston's theme is probably my favorite in Red Dead Redemption 2. Come on. No, WRV. Why do GTA 6 stream or video? Yes, I'll play GTA 6 definitely when it comes out, Jackie. Thank you for the super chat. Okay, just give me one moment, guys, because this mission really sucks. I can't stand this mission personally.
Yeah, it's bad the first 3 weeks, but after that, it's cool.
Yes, that one. The final mission.
We're having a full moon party in the desert. Interested? Yeah!
Damn. Okay, just one moment here, guys. I'm gonna answer questions here. Just getting over this drop. This mission just sucks. Still, I prefer this over post-op at least.
We had some real breakthroughs.
Come on.
I can't tell you about the visitation.
Oh no, come on. Okay, well, at least I delivered it. Okay. There we go. Okay. Immediately when I found out about GSG, War Drum Studios, I knew the trilogy would be bad, but how did people know at all? Like, you said Google exists. Oh. Thank you for this. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the super chat, Blinded Eagle. But
Okay,
Wardrum Studios,
invoice
GSG.
paid, and
Is
we
there a
have
specific
sale.
game that you're talking
Purchase your
about?
wallet and Tom John T is logging out.
The trilogy would be bad. Oh, Grove Street Games. I'm sorry. I was getting confused what you meant by GSG. Grove Street Games. Okay, I'm a bit confused. Oh, Reznov probably isn't dead.
All right.
Oh, I wasn't invited to the business.
I don't like this.
Do bolt-action rifles fire as fast as they do in Red Dead Redemption 2? Yes and no. In Red Dead Redemption 2, the rifle that they're using is actually the Springfield Krag. And the Springfield Krag actually has a very fast bolt. The bolt can actually move very fast in that. So if somebody knows what they're doing, yes, they actually could fire the bolt-action rifle as fast as you could in Red Dead Redemption 2. But some other bolt-action rifles at that time, like, you know, the Gewehr 98, you know, Springfield 1903, which came out, you know, a few years later, no, you could not move the bolt that fast. What's wrong with JMC Games? My live stream notifications are late. Really? I didn't know about that. Let me see here, Hey, Pro, is it eerie that Ray Liotta died on the same day as Philip Michael Thomas's birthday, Lance Vance's voice actor? It is a bit creepy, but I just think it's just a, you know, bad coincidence, personally. Chrysler L. Thank you for the super chat. Hey, Pro, how do I customize my cargo bob? It won't let me into the hangar. You have to own the cargo bob as a Pegasus vehicle. And then when you own it as a Pegasus vehicle, you'll be able to go in the hangar, but you can't really customize it other than changing the color. That's all you can really do. Yes, you know, speaking of which, Flaming Eel, I'm actually going to be doing a video on that, like, top 5 most useless features in GTA Online. What's the difference between semi-auto and you mean semi-automatic and automatic guns? A semi-automatic firearm is basically any kind of firearm with just a single pull of the trigger, a bullet comes out. An automatic gun is basically you just hold the trigger and the bullets will keep firing until there's nothing left in the magazine. That's basically the best summary of that. A lot of times people get that mixed up. They think it's the same thing, but it's not. Love your streams. Favorite comfort food? Thank you, Lanil. My favorite comfort food, what would it be? I don't know. Favorite, like comfort food, do you mean like a snack, for example, that's, like not a full meal? I'd say probably potato chips. If we're just talking snacks, like just something that I just eat on the side. Yeah, probably potato chips. Okay. And WRV, after this sale, I'm gonna help another person sell, just because I just want to help as many people as I can on this stream. I think I'll start, like, 3 sales. I'll help every person with, like, 3 sales each. GTA games, best to worst. My best GTA game would have to be GTA 4. I would say GTA 4 is the best one. But I would say that for worst, I don't think there really is a worse GTA game. I mean, there's some GTA games that aren't as good as the other ones, but I don't think there's one that's worst. I mean, they're all good. I have never really played a bad GTA. Can you do top 10 most annoying missions in GTA? Yes, I could do that, Tarian. I would have to think about what the most annoying mission in each GTA game is. My favorite Assassin's Creed game? At the classics, it would have to be Assassin's Creed 1. I would say that Assassin's Creed 1, yeah, I would put it Assassin's Creed 1 because I just like the dark setting in that game. Like, Assassin's Creed 1 is a pretty dark game. So I just like that time period the Crusades do. And I like the main character Altair in that one. My favorite Assassin's Creed out of the newer games, I'd probably say Assassin's Creed Rogue, but that's approaching its 10th year at this point. Well, Assassin's Creed Rogue I liked a lot. Oh, I missed a few super chats. I'm sorry if I did. Let's see here. My last super chat. Should I reinstall GTA 5 on my PC? Thank you, Jackie. I mean, I would, because there's the next update on GTA Online is probably coming in like a month. It's coming out in July. Worst Saints Row game besides the reboot? I'd probably say Saints Row 4, because of how ridiculous it was. But even Saints Row 4 is better than the reboot. Am I the only one who thinks it's really stupid when music claims first go to the ones who struck you when you appeal? I feel biased because they have an edge. Yeah, that's the dumb thing about YouTube. When you dispute the copyright claims, it goes to the person. It goes to the person who made the claim against you in the first place. And most of the time, they're gonna say no. That's ridiculous. You appeal an accusation against the person who made the accusation against you in the first place. That makes no sense. Well, GTA 5 was kind of a mess in 2013. I would say that 2016 is probably when it was at its best. It is, Blinded Eagle. New update on June 13th? I mean, I don't know, maybe, but Rockstar typically releases the updates in July now. the way I personally see it, I think that if you're playing a video game, right, and that video game has music in it, then you should be able to play that music when you're playing that video game on YouTube, because you bought the game, and so therefore the game has music in it. So that's what I personally think. If somebody's like uploading full songs, okay, that's copyright. But if it's like a song in the game and somebody's playing, why is that matter? Why is that important? Oh, it's a bunker sale? Okay, I'll just join in on this. Bunker will probably be quick, so I'll help you with that. Well, there's still gonna be a lot of people that are gonna be playing GT Online. Wait, but when people are saying June 13th, the next update for GT Online, how do you guys know June 13th? Where is this coming from exactly? Where's the proof for this?
Okay.
There is no proof. Mr. Boss is the source. Okay, let's take the highway here, so it'll be easy. GTA Plus ends? Well, just because GTA Plus ends on that day doesn't mean that we're gonna get an update. Maybe I could do that, mobile gamer. Okay, 3 miles here. So is that really what this whole speculation is on? That the next update is going to come out June 13th, what, just because GTA Plus expires that day? If anything, the next month in July when GTA Plus expires might be a more indicator, because it's every July there's been an update, so at least there's more proof for that. But I don't think it's in June that's going to be the next update. I don't believe that. No, I never played the Need for Speed games. Saints Row is the equivalent of the Fast and Furious franchise. It went from being grounded to ridiculous and over the top. Yep. And most of the fans don't like it anymore today. Yeah. Well, Rockstar hasn't fixed a lot of game-breaking issues. It's unfortunate. Don't slow down in front of my monster truck, guys, because I won't stop. I'm just trying to get there as fast as I can. Will bags ever come back? What, duffel bags? No, probably not. You know what was really stupid? Rockstar took the duffel bags out of GT Online because they said that there's a glitch. And the, when Rockstar took out the duffel bags saying that it was a glitch, that there was some kind of glitch with them, but nobody really cared about it. And it was, Rockstar was saying there was some glitch where I think it was that certain players don't actually spawn with their bags. But if that was the case, then why did they not fix the Titan glitch? Why did they not remove the Titan cell mission from the game and just give us boats and trucks then? Because that glitch has been in the game for how long now? Yes, they definitely do have strange priorities. Oh, come on, I missed that. There we go. Got you. Okay. GTA 6, probably 2024 holiday season. Take this route along the mountain, it's quicker. There we go. Yeah, I wouldn't listen to the June 13th clickbait. I don't think there's really proof that it's coming out. Thank you, Aussie guy. You've been a member of mine for two years. Thanks, man. And thank you, Blinded Eagle. Elon Musk's brain chip got really got approved by FDA. Huh. The thing about that is that you know, I didn't care about a lot of stuff that he was personally doing with Twitter because I don't use Twitter that much myself. I mean, it does help with my channel and stuff. But the thing that I thought was really stupid that he did is when you need to have, like, Twitter Blue to have, like, two-step authentication on, which that's just really stupid. That's just an extra security feature. So, that was yeah, I thought that was kind of dumb. Have I ever watched Sons of Anarchy? I've seen a few clips here and there, but I never watched it, but I should. When's Boss's Cops and Robbers DLC coming out? Oh man, yeah. What I'll say about that is that Cops and Crooks stuff has been clickbaited for so long. It is just so ridiculous. Cops and Crooks, Cops and Crooks. You guys know, they were talking about Cops and Crooks back in 2019. That's when clickbaiters were clickbaiting it. And it's, what, 4 years later, and they're still talking about Cops and Crooks is right around the corner. Love the outfit and the hat. Thank you. Yeah, and
Look,
you know what I'll tell you guys? Have you guys noticed something? Whenever you look at the clickbait videos on YouTube, you notice there's something similar about all of them. Can somebody tell me, almost every single clickbait video on YouTube has something very similar about them. Almost every single one. And I'm talking about different channels that clickbait. They almost always have one major thing in common, and it's not the clickbait. Does anybody know what that one thing in common that all the videos have? You notice there's a pattern in them? Anybody in the comment know? Yep. We got a bunch of people who already called it right there. 8 minutes. That's exactly it. If you notice that almost every single clickbait video on YouTube, almost every single clickbait is 8 minutes and above, and usually it's like 8 minutes and 5 seconds, 8 minutes and 2 seconds. It's like right after 8 minutes. And that's because they don't have to do any extra work. They don't. And what I'll tell you guys about this is the reason that I'll tell you as a YouTuber, the reason that their videos are all over 8 minutes long is because on YouTube, you can, on YouTube, when your video is under 8 minutes long, you can only place one ad in the entire video, just one. When the video is over 8 minutes long, you can place as many ads as you want, so they can really milk it. And so that's why they're purposely stretching out those videos over 8 minutes long, just so that they can get more ad revenue. That's the reason why. I personally think it's very dishonest, and it just pisses me off as a YouTuber. Like, if you look at my channel, sometimes there's no GTA Online content that I post for weeks. And I do a stream every week for GTA Online, don't get me wrong, but that's something that I can do every week. But I can't think of a video to do every week on GTA Online. And when I can't think of a video, I won't do a video. But other people, on the other hand, will just constantly clickbait. And even though the GTA is the bulk of my channel views, you know, I'm not going to make, like, a video every week just for making a video. You know, I'm going to, if there's something that I come up with, like, if there's, like, a good top 5 or a good top 10 that comes into my head, then I'll make it. Or a money guide if I can think of another one. I still want to do my Smuggler's Run money guide, my updated one, so I gotta get on that one day too. But when I can't think of a video though, you know, I'm not gonna, you know, make it just for the sake of making a video. But the problem is that so many other YouTubers, they do that, and I personally think it's really stupid. And do you guys want to know something? If you watch these clickbait videos, there's also a few other things that you'll notice about them, very similar. The GTA clickbaiters especially are some of the worst. The GTA clickbaiters are probably the worst clickbaiters I've seen on YouTube. There's a lot of different clickbaiters I've seen on YouTube, but the GTA clickbaiters are the worst. Now, if you notice, like, you know, channels like mine, you know, channels like, you know, Gilly Master, you know, channels like, I'm trying to think of a few other ones, like, you know, Dark Viper AU, you know, I'm just trying to think of good GTA channels that I like. There's a bunch more GTA channels that I like, but those are just the ones that are just coming up in my head right now. You also have Joker that was here earlier. Anyways, if you notice that, you know, channels like ours, when we're talking about GTA, we say GTA. That's it, what we say. But if you notice, the clickbaiters, on the other hand, how do they say it? They say Grand Theft Auto Online, and they say it, like, really slowly, just to drag out a few more seconds. That's literally, that is literally the reason that they say Grand Theft Auto Online. It's just so they can get a few more seconds into the video. That's the whole reason, just so they can get closer to that 8-minute mark. That's pretty much what it's about. What is it, and also, if you notice something else, sometimes the clickbait videos, they actually speak kind of slowly in that. And you're wondering, like, what are they doing exactly? So what they do is, they record the video, and then after they record the video, they check how long the video is. If the video is not over 8 minutes long, they'll put it in their editor, and then they'll purposely slow down the clip just so it gets exactly to 8 minutes. That's why it sounds like their voice sounds a little weird sometimes. It sounds like they're talking slower than normal. It's because they've purposely slowed down their voice just so the video gets stretched out to longer. That's what they do. So when you watch the clickbait videos, and you notice they're speaking like a little slower than usual, put the video in 1.25 speed. Or 1.50 speed. And you notice they start talking immediately faster, like normal. And that's because they slowed down the video already. Oh no, yeah, TGG is another great GTA channel. I was just thinking of just channels that just came to my head right away. These are just channels that I personally associate with, like my Gilly Master, and I talk to him regularly, and Dark Viper AU. I've talked to him a few times, and we made a video together. But yeah, TGG is another good channel. You know, Tylarius is a good one. Who else can I think of here? GTA Men, he's good too. There's a few more. Project Heli, he's good. Yeah. So when the channels that I don't like on the channels that I don't typically like on YouTube, I won't really ever mention their names. The channels that I don't like. So if there's a channel that I name, typically I like that channel. Yo, yeah, Jackknife is cool. Putter, he's cool too. Well, PvP Cat is more of a Red Dead channel. He does GTA 2, but he's cool. I'm gonna send Dark Viper AU a message on Twitter. I'm gonna ask him if he can, if he could possibly share my GTA 4 remaster poll. It's up to him, or petition, I should say. But and I might reach out to another, you know, a few more content creators too. Sonny Evans? Oh yeah, he's cool. I haven't watched the Sonny Evans in some time, but yeah, I remember him. He's cool too. Don't you really love the kind of videos where the person just repeats themselves and never gets the actual point? Yep, it is frustrating. I think that repeating yourself can be fine in certain aspects, like when you're trying to emphasize something. Like when you're trying to emphasize something, I don't think it's really harmful to repeat yourself necessarily. But if you are purposely repeating yourself and not explaining, you know, never getting to the point that you're trying to get across, and you're just doing it to intentionally stretch out the video, then yeah, I do think that's bad. Hey Pro, will you do ever a top 5 annoying characters in the 3D universe like you did with the HD universe? Yes, yes, Wrangle Gaming, I want to do that. I'll just have to think about what the most annoying character in the 3D universe is, but... Okay, let's deliver these weapons here at the next drop-off. I think it actually was legitimately leaked that there was gonna do one in 2020. Oh, well, still, Blinded Eagle, there's still never been any proof that we're gonna get a Cops and Crooks DLC, though. Okay, guys, follow me, because I know where the last drop is. The last drop is actually not too far from Michael's house. It's that clothing store that's like right below his house. That's where the last drop is. I remember this drop too. Yeah, I already see the smoke. Hello, Philip. How are you, man? Do you think GTA 6 will be as dark as GTA 4? I hope so. Yeah, Putter, he's a great channel. I like Putter too. I just don't watch the PvP channels as much, though, personally, because PvP just doesn't interest me. But he's a good guy. No, I haven't. What's it about, Tree? And we gotta check the the GTA 4 petition. I wonder what the GTA 4 petition is at right now. We got 2,315 signatures. Okay. It's pretty good. It is, and when did I post this? When did I post the GTA 4 remaster video? I posted it on May 20th. So about a week, it got 2,315 signatures. Fernando's GTA 6 unboxing was an April Fool's prank, so in reality he got hated on. That was for clearly zero reason. It's April Fool's. We can clearly joke. I don't know about Fernando's newest video, but I'll tell you that Fernando developed a bad reputation for himself with just all the GTA 6 lies that he's constantly done, those dumb GTA 6 clickbait videos. So, you know, people just had enough of it. They were just, you know, he does different content now, but he should have probably thought about that before he was doing all that clickbait. That's good. I play in just friends-only sessions now. I'll go into public sessions sometimes to sell stuff, but, pin the petition on top? Sure, I can do that. That's actually a good idea. I might start doing that. So this is a petition that I have. Okay, did my message get pinned here? Oh, wait. I pinned the wrong message. Sorry about that, Mark. Hold on one second. Okay. Three ads is a fair amount for an 8-minute video. I'll say, though, for an 8-minute video, I think 2 ads would personally be enough.
What miracle did you want me to perform?
Yeah, I will. And some people are telling me to check out Dark Viper AU's newest video. What is it exactly?
And that, I believe, is everything sold. Next time you
Can
see
you
those
cross
weapons,
GTA
they'll be
4
on the news.
5 while blind? Yeah, that would probably be a difficult one. That would. Okay, Burb, I can help you right after I'm done helping Mobile Gamer. Would you like GTA 6 to be as dark as Kane and Lynch? Yes, but Rockstar will never go there. The closest they've done is GTA 4.
Okay.
My aunt was scammed by scammers who said she would win this, and she lost all her money and home. The IRS and bank foreclosed, and she passed away after that. I'm really sorry to hear about that, Phoenix. I'm really sorry. I'm sorry to hear about that. Scammers are some of the worst people out there. I've seen those IRS scammers before. They've called me before. I remember one time they called my mom too. And when they called my mom, I remember my mom was like, what was it? My mom wanted me to like call. My mom told me once, because my mom doesn't speak that good English. Her first language is Polish, and so my mom told me that she wanted me to call the Social Security Department, and she said that that she has to pay a new tax because her Social Security number is about to be suspended. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, there's no, your Social Security can't be suspended. But she was saying that they called her and told her her Social Security number is suspended and that she has to pay some new tax. And I said, no, that is not the Social Security Department. But these scammers are just terrible people, and they take advantage of people, and they take advantage of elderly people specifically, and it's just really horrible. No, I haven't, Michael. What is that? Are you still here, Phoenix? Yes, it's a possibility, or the Russian Mafia will at least appear in GTA 6. Oh, it's a monster truck show. No. Just signed a petition. Thank you. I don't really drink alcohol, but if I'm gonna drink alcohol, it's gonna be champagne or wine. My mother told me about what happened to her. We tried to help her, but she believed she would win the lottery. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry to hear about that. I'll tell you though, when I got called by an IRS scammer one time, they were telling me that I owed taxes and I have to pay them now. And do you know what I actually said to the IRS scammer? This was years ago. But maybe like 5 or 6 years ago. I told the IRS scammer, I said, I don't believe in government, and I believe that government is wrong, and I don't believe in paying taxes. That's literally what I said to the IRS scammer. And so I said, I'm not going to pay taxes. I knew this was a scam, but it was, I was just saying that to the IRS scammer, that I don't believe in taxes. I think taxation is wrong, and I'm not going to pay. And what happened was the scammer got really mad, like really mad, like he was furious on the phone because he thought that I was going to pay, but I didn't. And then he basically called me an MFer, and he told me that he's going to send the SWAT team to my house. And I told him the SWAT team is not going to go to somebody's house for tax reasons. And then he says, oh, they will, you watch, MFer. And he's hung up on me. So that's, that was my interaction with a scammer once. I didn't, I'm not against paying taxes, but if they're actually for a good reason, if they're actually going to build the roads and bridges and actually help fix things, then sure. But I was trolling him for the most part. But he believed me, everything I was saying, and Yeah. You know what's messed up? The government don't stop those scammers and the hackers that find them and fight them. Yeah, well, what I'll say is that a lot of times you'll have those hackers, like you'll have those Jim Browning. His name is Jim Browning, right? Is the guy on YouTube, like, you know, there's like a few different scam payback like channels. There is like the Kit Boga. Kit Boga mostly wastes their time. He just trolls them and pisses them off. But then there's also, like, you know, there's also other people that, like Jim Browning, where Jim Browning will actually track down the scammers and find out where they are, where they're located. He'll even find out what the floor that they're on, which is kind of crazy. Sometimes he even hacks into their cameras. But the thing about this is people like Jim Browning, they get all this evidence together, all this information, and they go to, like, the law enforcement in whatever country this happens in, and yet the law enforcement in those countries don't do anything about it. Nothing. Zero. And the thing about this is, I'll tell you, the scammers, those telemarketer scams, they almost always target people outside the country that they're in. They never target people inside the country they're in, because if they target people inside the country they're in, they know the police is going to go after them like crazy. But when they target people outside the country, the police isn't going to respond to that as quickly. So that's it. So there are, you know, there are a few countries out there that don't really, unfortunately, prosecute these scammers. And that's just what's unfortunate about it. But there was but there is also misconception, I'll say, about these scammers. And, like, for example, there's a lot of people that think that every single scammer is Indian. That's not true. I have encountered a scam in real life that was the exact same kind of scam that the telemarketers from India were also doing. But this scammer was actually being done by Polish people. I've seen it happen. But basically what happened was, there's a neighborhood in Brooklyn, New York, called Greenpoint. It's a Polish neighborhood. And so these Polish scammers, I don't know where they were, if they were in Poland or if they were in America or what, but what they were doing is they were calling elderly Polish people. So I'm assuming they would probably look them up in the phone book, probably find their age, and they would call elderly Polish people. They would speak Polish to them, and they would basically say to them that they're the police and they have a translator here and that they're speaking Polish to them now. And they would say that your grandson or granddaughter is in jail and that you need to go to the store and buy a bunch of Google Play gift cards right now. And so elderly people fall for this a lot of times, because it's like elderly people don't know that much about this. Elderly people oftentimes don't even know what a Google Play card is. And so they'll go and buy this because elderly, their grandparent instincts come in. They have to protect their grandson, their granddaughter. They're worried about their grandkids. And so they'll just rush to the store. And so because elderly people don't know that much about technology and don't know what these gift cards are, they're much more vulnerable victims. But that was what, you know, Polish scammers were trying to pull there. But I know I have a bounty. But the, oh yeah, there's scammers in America, there's scammers in a lot of countries, but the countries that have, you know, a lot of scammers from them, for example, the reason that scams are more prevalent in certain countries over others, it's all about prosecution. That's what it's personally about. Is that in a lot of countries, like I said, there are police that will not prosecute. I mean, technically they will prosecute them, but they just don't use police resources to just go after these scammers. If these scammers are targeting people outside their country, then the police aren't really doing anything about that. And it's not just police corruption, like people think it's police corruption. The scammers could be in league with the police, sure, but it's also just the fact that the scammers are targeting people outside their country, so the police just don't care as much. Now, if you look at, for example, hackers, what country are most of the hackers from in the world? Does anybody know what country most hackers are from? Waiting for this just to be delivered. Oh, did I drop all of my things off here? I think I did. Might have here. Russia. Russia is where most of the world's hackers are from. Now, why are there so many hackers from Russia? Do Russian people dislike hacking more than, than people in other countries? No, not necessarily. Every country has, really the same amount of people that are interested in hacking. But the reason that hackers in Russia are just much more common is because the Russian government does nothing, zero, and sometimes even encourages it when they hack into countries outside of Russia. That's why you constantly hear about Russian hackers hacking into companies, hacking into stuff. It's because those hackers never hack into Russia. If those hackers hacked into Russian companies, or even worse, they hacked into the Russian government, oh boy, they would be in a world of trouble. They would come after them really quickly. But if they're hacking into like the West and just causing a bunch of chaos in the West, then the Russian government doesn't care about that at all. So that's why hackers are so common in Russia, because the Russian government doesn't care if they hack outside of Russia. Now, if you're an American, for example, and you start hacking into like Great Britain, you start hacking into France, Mexico, a lot of other countries, and the Mexican government basically, comes to the American government and says, here, this guy's hacking. American government's going to take much more action. Maybe they won't extradite the person, but the person's definitely going to be brought up on some kind of charges. So that's what a lot of people actually don't know about. See here. Are the Russian mafia also involved in hacking? Not really. More in intimidation. More in just like large-scale government corruption is what they're involved in. Was that to get my bounty? I guess. I've seen videos where people try to get you to rear-end their cars just to sue you for money. That's just awful. I'm planning on getting a camera for my car that the police have dash cam. Yes, and about that, Phoenix, is this is the thing about this, is that this is what a lot of people don't understand about scammers, is scammers are just all over the place. There's so many different kinds of scams. The most common scam that people hear about is telemarketer scams. That's the most common one. But there's a lot of other scams out there that you don't hear about as much. Like, so, while telemarketers, for example, telemarketers might be more common from Asia, telemarketing scams. And the reason for that, America would have just as much telemarketing scams as some of those other countries if America, for example, did not prosecute scammers that are scamming people outside of America. We would have just as much of it. So it's all about enforcement. If a country doesn't enforce it and start arresting scammers, you're going to have more and more scammers pop up. That's why some countries have massive problems with telemarketer scams, because those countries aren't enforcing the law on those scammers. But when it comes to other types of scams, there's a lot of other scams, like I was saying, people think that most scammers are from India. It's just not true. There's a lot of scams that you go about your everyday and you encounter that you don't realize. Like, for example, if I go to a mechanic shop, right? If I'm going in for an inspection, I have to get my car inspected, right? I go into the auto shop, and the mechanic basically starts telling me, oh, you got to get this changed and this changed and this and that and that and that and that, and this is bad, and really there isn't anything wrong with my car, but the mechanic is just trying to get me to buy more stuff. That's a scam. That's them pulling a scam on me. That is. And those are the types of scams that you don't oftentimes hear about as much. And when Phoenix, you were talking about the rear end scam before. You were talking about that. The rear end scam, do you know where that is actually the most common, the rear end scam? Eastern Europe. So like my parents' country of Poland, the rear end scam is very, very common in Poland. That's like the most common scam that happens in Poland. So saying it doesn't just happen in Poland, it happens in Poland, Russia, Belarus, Ukraine. I don't know why it's so common there, but that's where that scam is the most common, and that's not something that you hear about. You don't really but that is a very common scam that's in those countries. So for people wondering what the rear end scam basically is the rear end scam is basically where you will be at a red light driving in Poland, right? And the person in front of you is at a red light. The person in front of you slowly backs up into you and just hits you. And it's where they hit you that doesn't leave that much damage on their car, but there is like a few scratches or something like that. And then what the person will do, the person who rear ends that guy at the red light, they will say, oh, give me a bunch of money right now. Give me a few $100s in equivalent to zloty or rubles. or I'm going to, you know, report this to the insurance, or I'm going to report this to the police. And most people just don't want to deal with that. They don't want to deal with the insurance, and they don't want to deal with the police, and so they'll just pay the scammer a few $100s. And then the scammer will just go ahead and they'll do it to the next person afterwards, another person. So if the best way to prevent that from happening is dash cams. Dash cams. It's having a dash cam on your car. Now, the thing about that is if you go on YouTube, for example, and you see like Russian car crashes, you just type that in, and you just see like all these really ridiculous like car crashes in Russia and stuff like that, and people are basically making jokes about that, and they say, oh, you know, people in Russia can't drive. Well, that's not true. The reason that you see so many ridiculous car crashes in Russia is because those cars are that's filmed, because it's on dash cam. America, for example, does not have as much dash cams in Russia. In Russia, dash cams are very, very common. Most drivers have dash cams in Russia. Most American drivers do not. If most American drivers had dash cams at the same rate that Russian drivers do, you'd see just as many crazy car crashes in America. The problem is they're just not filmed. The reason that so many people have dash cams in Poland, in Russia, in Ukraine, in Belarus is because those car scams are out of control. There's so many insurance scammers in those countries, and that is why people have dash cams, is to prevent the scams. And I think that in some places there is actually law where you actually have to have a dash cam on. So that's why there's so many dash cams in Eastern Europe. It's because the scams, the car scams, are just so out of control. And ever since, you know, more drivers have gotten most drivers have gotten dash cams, it has actually reduced the amount of insurance scams by a lot. But just go on YouTube and just look up like Poland, Russia, Ukraine, Belarus insurance scams, and you'll see a lot of them. The people trying to pull insurance fraud, and the driver will then say, I have a dash cam. I've seen a bunch of videos on that. But that's what I'm saying is, like, a lot of people think that most of the scammers in the world are from India, but that's this telemarketer scams that you hear about. There's a lot of other scams that you hear about that go on in other places that you don't hear about as often. Like I said, most hackers are from Russia because the Russian government doesn't prosecute people when they hack outside of Russia. And just like, you know, for example, in India, there's the police in India just don't respond quickly. They just don't shut down these call centers when they're scamming people, and because of that, there's more call centers pop up. It's basically the broken windows theory. What the broken windows theory in policing is basically this idea that if you go into a neighborhood, right, and what happens is somebody does graffiti in that neighborhood, right, and the graffiti doesn't get fixed, it doesn't get cleaned up, then what's going to happen is you're going to have more graffiti. If that graffiti doesn't get cleaned up, it's going to take it one step further. Eventually, you're going to have things like vandalism. Somebody's going to throw a rock into a window. If that doesn't get solved, the police don't respond to things like that, it's going to move on to more things. And eventually, what's going to happen is maybe next you'll have prostitutes on the street. You'll have prostitutes on the street. If that doesn't get dealt with, eventually, you're going to have drug dealers that are going to come up on the streets. The crime just moves up and up a tier every single time. It just gets to something worse and worse and worse. And then once you actually have drug dealers on the streets, do you know what's going to happen at that point? Drug dealers are going to flood the neighborhood with drugs. The property value is going to go down in that neighborhood. And what's going to happen is, the worst part about this, the drug dealers are most of the times backed by gangs. So different gangs are going to come into the neighborhood now, and they're going to start fighting each other and having wars each other for control over drug turf. And then it doesn't end there. The people in the neighborhood get addicted to drugs. When the people in the neighborhood get addicted to drugs, they need money to pay for their habits. And what are they going to do? They're going to start committing crimes. They're going to start committing robberies. They're going to start breaking into houses to basically get money for their drug habits. And that's basically what happened to places like the South Side of Chicago. The South Side of Chicago is a perfect example of this. It's like the police were not enforcing the law in those neighborhoods, and the crime just got completely out of control. And that's basically the point that I'm making about countries. When the government doesn't enforce the law, the criminals notice that. They see that when government isn't enforcing the law, and so crime is just going to go up, and they're going to take it a step further. And that's basically what I was saying with these telemarketing scams. The reason these telemarketing scams are so common in countries in Asia is because the governments in those places don't do anything about that, really. Sure, they might shut down like a call center here or there, but they don't do much about it. Like, you'll watch those YouTube videos where the hackers will find the call center, they'll find out the people that are involved in it, and then they'll report it to the police. The police in those countries won't do anything about it. So if the police are not going to shut down call centers, more and more of them are going to pop up. That's pretty much it. It's, if you don't enforce the law, more of them are going to pop up. That's why, that's why call centers there are so common. Oh, passenger needs to drop it off here. Oh, sorry, I knocked some off the plane. But what I was saying earlier about it, Pierston, you need to drop the crate on this when I fly over it. Pearson, drop the crate, please. Fly over one more time. If you ever encountered that, like an insurance scam, right? An insurance scam, and they basically they'll like bump into you slightly, they'll back up into you because if you hit them, if their rear gets hit, they'll basically say, oh, you know, he hit me in the back. If that happens to you and the scammer says to you, you know, pay me $100 and I won't report this to the insurance and the police, you know what you do at that point? You just basically say, okay, let's call the cops. Because I'll tell you something, I'd rather call the cops and get the cops involved than pay off some kind of scammer. And most of the time when you say that, they'll back off and they'll get in their car and drive away. So that's what I say, if that ever happens to you, God forbid, and you don't have a dash cam, and they just like slowly like back up into you, just yeah. Okay, I'm gonna have to, Pearson isn't dropping this. Okay. Gonna have to wait for him now to fly here. Okay. But that's what I was saying, is that if that happens to you, if they back up into you, and they try to, you know, tell give me hundreds of dollars, and won't tell the insurance. If that happens, just like I said, get the police involved. Don't pay the scammer. Don't do that. Cannon Lens 3 announced. I know you're trolling. How do I make sure that I'm not getting scammed by a mechanic? Honestly, what I would... This is the thing about this. How to not get scammed by a mechanic. The best way to not get scammed by a mechanic is to learn how to fix your own car. I know that might sound like a complicated solution. I don't know how to fix my own car, by the way, for people wondering. The only thing that I learned how to do is I learned how to change lights in my car. I learned how to do that on YouTube. And I did that on my own. I actually changed the lights on my car. But there are some things on YouTube you can learn how to fix your car, but then there's other complicated things that, you know, I just rather go to a mechanic. But what I'll say about that is that reviews aren't always reliable. They aren't. Because you might see 5-star reviews, but just because a mechanic place have 5-star reviews doesn't mean they're not going to scam you, because a lot of those reviews could be fake. And they could be like the mechanic's friends, or even people that actually work for the mechanic, or the mechanic themselves. So that could basically be, that's not necessarily true. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. I was going to, my dad's van was getting an inspection. This is like, you know, years ago. But basically what happened is my dad goes to this is like a 2001 car that he drives. And the car didn't really have any problems. We didn't notice anything wrong with it. But we go to the mechanic, and the mechanic basically says, oh, you know, you got to get this changed, and this changed, and this changed, and that, and what basically happened was the whole repair was like totaling somewhere near $2,000, and the van wasn't even worth $2,000. And so my dad was getting very frustrated, very angry, and I told my dad, I said, you know, why don't we just go to, you know, my friend's, you know, shop, because my friend's shop, one of my friends in real life, his dad is a mechanic. And so I say, well, why don't we go to my dad's friend's shop, my friend's dad's shop. And what happens is my dad didn't want to do it because it's like a 20-minute drive. I'm like, let's just go there. Let's just see. And what happens is we go to his shop, and he does the inspection. And basically, you know, what happened is after he did the inspection, he just basically said, okay, your car's good to go, pass the inspection, everything like that. And I said to him, can you tell me about this part? Like, I pointed to the few of the parts the mechanic was. And I was like saying, like, should we get this part changed, or this part and this part? It was the parts I remember the mechanics changed. And you know what he told me? He told me there's nothing wrong with those parts. They're just old. But there's nothing wrong with them. They're good. And that's the thing about it. A lot of the parts that the mechanics will point to you, I've learned this. A lot of the parts, when mechanics are trying to scam you, a lot of the things they'll tell you that you have to get changed, those parts are just old. There's nothing really necessarily wrong with them. But old stuff still works. And so the best way to not get scammed by a mechanic, best way to not get scammed is if you know somebody in the mechanic field. If you know somebody. If it's like a friend of yours that's a mechanic, you can go to that person safely, because you know your friend is not going to scam you. If they're a good friend of yours, you know they would never do something like that to you. So that's like that's the thing is, whenever I needed to go anywhere, when I lived in New York, whenever I needed to go anywhere, I would just go to my dad's friend's shop, because I know he was an honest guy and he wouldn't pull crap like this. So that's pretty much it. If you know somebody that works in that field, that's a great help. And it's the same thing. If you know somebody that, like, works in real estate, for example, that's another way of not getting scammed if you're buying, like, a house or selling a house. So, like, if you have, like, a friend that works in these specific fields, you know, I'm not saying to go and make friends that's, like, a mechanic or something like that, because then you'd be kind of using them. But if you know somebody that's specifically in this field, and they're a friend of yours, you know, win-win right there. You know, you get, you know, you don't have to deal with a lot of this, crap. Jess, I mean, I can help you right now, but I think your MC is full, right? Pro, do you blame the politicians for crime? It depends on where. Like, politicians aren't the ones who are causing crime to happen, but politicians, because of their stupid laws, can cause crime to rise. Like, you know, you have, like, for example, I could say this. In my hometown of New York, do I blame the politicians for a rise in crime? Yes, a lot of them, I do blame them for a rise in crime in New York. Because the thing about that, in New York, in New York City, you will hear these ridiculous stories about, like, these people who have been arrested, like, 50, 60 times and stuff like that, and they're constantly being released from jail and prison. And I'm just basically thinking to myself, if somebody's been arrested so many times for, like, shoplifting, assault, why are you releasing this person from prison? If somebody has gotten arrested, like, you know, 50 or 60 times, and I'm not even exaggerating when I say this, like, just look up on Google, there's so many stories you can see of people in New York that have been arrested, like, literally 50 times, and literally so many people that have gotten arrested so many times for so many different crimes, and they're constantly being released from prison and jail. And I'm like, if they've been arrested that many times, why don't you just throw the entire book at them and just give them, like, the max punishment that you possibly can for repeat offenses, and just keep them in prison for years? Don't just release them constantly like this. But, you know, some of these people, like, are repeat offenders, and if you've arrested somebody 30 something times for shoplifting, and you constantly arresting them, you think on the 30th time that you're releasing them, you think they're going to change and they're not going to shoplift again? So that is what I say, is that, yeah, it's just some places the politicians are dumb. They're really dumb. And it's not just the politicians, but the prosecutors, because the prosecutors are also chosen by the people. But when you have situations like that, like, I don't know what they're honestly doing. It's, you know, that I don't... The Milwaukee Massacre guy is the perfect example. Can you explain to me the case that you're talking about specifically, Jackie? Because I don't know if I know the case that you're talking about. But thank you for the super chat, man. But thank you, Imperialist, also for the super chat. Let me see here, because see if I've missed any chats here. Was there a Russian mafia during Soviet times? Yes, there was. Yes, there was, Victor. And I'll see you, Blinded Eagle. You like Texas Roadhouse? I've actually never had Texas Roadhouse. First time being in one of your streams. Very entertaining. Thank you, man. What do you think about capital punishment? You mean the death penalty? Well, I guess we could do your heist. Does Burb Bear, does she still need help selling? I think she's full right now. My thoughts on the death penalty. My thoughts on the death penalty is I'm kind of neutral. I'm kind of in the middle on this. What do I think about the death penalty? I think that there are, you know, I think there are things that both sides lie about when it comes to the death penalty. I think that, for example, one thing that people say is that the death penalty is cheaper than having the person in prison for, you know, decades, but that's not true. Because of just the appeals that the person has to go through, the amount of the appeals that they do, that's going to cost the taxpayer much more money. But other things that people say about like the death penalty is when they say that most people are against the death penalty. In Europe, most people are against the death penalty. In America, most people are not against the death penalty. I think it's like 60% of Americans that support the death penalty. It's like somewhere around there. So it's like more than half of Americans are actually for the death penalty. So when people tell you most people in America are against the death penalty, that's not true. That's something that that the other side lies about too. So there's and what I personally think, my opinion on the death penalty is I think it should be up to the family. That's what I personally think of. I think like if it's like, because the death penalty 95% of the time it's involved in a murder. You know, most of the time it's almost always murder. But if there's a death penalty situation, I think the prosecutor should personally go to the family and say to the family, do you want me to pursue life in prison, or do you want me to go for the death penalty for this guy? And I think that's personally how they should go about it. I think it should be up to the family to decide on whether they want the death penalty or not. Because sometimes the families want life in prison, so they don't have to come back for the appeals constantly. And some families just want the death penalty. So I personally think it should be up to the families to decide what the prosecutor should do. That's that's my thing on that. But you know, there's some things that I've heard about the death penalty also. When like some people say they say if we execute the person, we're no different than the person. I'm like, no. I don't know. I don't honestly know where that argument comes from. That's ridiculous, because we wouldn't be executing the person in the first place if the person hadn't committed a heinous act in the first place. So literally when people say we're no different than the person when we execute them, no. I don't buy that personally. That's like that person committed a horrendous, horrible crime. They've taken somebody's life, and probably in a brutal way. So that's so I don't personally buy that when people say that, you know, we're no different than the person killed when we're killing them. No, because that person chose to go out and murder somebody. They broke the law. They took somebody's life. They put themselves in that position. You know, the courts wouldn't be executing somebody in the first place if that person had committed a crime. So that's my whole viewpoint on that personally. But like there was like I'll give you guys a perfect example. There was a case in Florida. There was a case in Florida that happened recently, and what happened was it was a gang member. The guy, basically this gang member had called up an Uber Eats order, and he called up an Uber Eats order just so that he could ambush the driver and steal his money. But he didn't just ambush the driver. He stabbed the driver 35 times, and it doesn't end there. Do you know what he did afterwards? He cut the guy's head off. And, you know, can somebody honestly tell me that somebody like that, if you execute somebody like that we're no different than that person when we execute them? No. You know, that person is a horrible human being. Horrible. It's evil. That's what I would call that person. Evil. And so, you know, if there's anybody that the death penalty was designed for, it's people like that guy right there. So that's like, that is the perfect example of like the death penalty applying to somebody like that. But like I said, I'm kind of in the middle on that. I'm kind of neutral. I'm not neither pro or against that death penalty. I see both sides, but my personal view on it is I think the families should decide. The family should have the right to decide whether they want the death penalty or not in that case, because it's their family member who got killed. So I think they should have the right to decide whether they want it or not. But I'll tell you this though, if we're not going to have death penalty, then at least put the person in prison for life. There is no reason, none, zero whatsoever, that when somebody commits a murder, they should ever get out of prison. I think when somebody murders somebody, they should be in prison for the rest of their life. I don't think they should ever be allowed to step outside of prison. I think they should be in prison for the rest of their life. No one can sit there and tell me that somebody who commits a murder should be released from prison. That's just my personal viewpoint on it. There are different kinds of crimes, like manslaughter is a little bit different, but manslaughter isn't murder. So that's it. A murder is when you literally plan on killing somebody and you go about it and you kill that person. You know, that's it. So if somebody murders somebody, specifically somebody innocent, I don't think that person should ever be released from prison. That's my personal viewpoint on that. So I hope I answered your question. Pro, why does America have the death penalty? Because, like I said, the vast majority of Americans support it. Most of Americans support the death penalty. That's why it has a death penalty. You mean murdering innocent, or even if it's for self-defense? Well, I don't know what you're asking me, Matthias. I'm a bit confused by your question. If somebody kills somebody else in self-defense, that's not murder. That's self-defense, because that person was trying to hurt them, so they defended themselves. So it depends on the situation. Like there are a few murder cases that are a bit more complicated, where the person still committed a crime and they should be punished, but it's a little bit more, you kind of feel bad for the person in a way too, and I'll explain why. There was this one case, for example. It happened in my hometown of New York. This happened like I think like 2 decades ago, so it's like 20 years ago. Basically what happened is, there was this guy that would go up to random girls at a bar. And the guy that would go up to random girls at a bar, he would basically tell them that he's like some kind of movie producer, and he would tell the girl, he's like, I'm making a movie, and you'll be perfect for this, and we want you to be in the movie. And so a lot of girls like think this, oh, I'm gonna be in a movie, and they just accept this guy's proposal. But the thing is, the guy was never a producer. He was a liar. He was a scammer. And so what this guy would do is he would take the girls back to his studio, but his studio was like fake. It was like it wasn't like a real studio, but it was meant to look like a real studio. And what he would do is he would take pictures of them, he would have them pose, and what he would then do afterwards is he would tell the girls, he would tell them, pay me thousands of dollars right now, or I'm gonna put these pictures on the internet and I'm gonna shame you. And sometimes he would even sexually assault these girls. So he would tell them that, you know, he would ask them for sexual favors, or else he would put the pictures of them up on the internet. And so this guy did this to dozens of women. There's a lot of women that were victims in this case. And what happened is, there was, he even drugged some of the women, by the way. So some of them, he would drug them, and he would knock them out, and he would do things to them. So this guy was like a really, really bad guy, like a really, really horrible guy. And what ended up happening was, there was one situation where this girl basically was upset. She was crying and everything like that. And her boyfriend comes home from work. Her boyfriend asks her, why are you crying? What's wrong? She tells him the story, how she met the guy at the bar. The guy was lied to her about being a producer, asked her to pose for pictures, and now he's threatening to put it on the internet. The boyfriend turns into a fit of rage that this guy did this to his girlfriend. Boyfriend goes over to that guy's studio, shoots and kills him. Now, what the boyfriend did was technically murder, because he planned on it. He planned on going over to the studio, shooting and killing the guy. But now you think about that, this is a little bit more complicated, this case, because this wasn't just somebody going over and murdering some innocent guy. This guy had basically, you know, sexually assaulted his girlfriend, threatened, blackmailed his girlfriend, and stole thousands of dollars from her and threatened to shame her. So, you know, is a situation... Oh, great, we just failed here. Is a situation like that, like, does somebody like that deserve life in prison? I mean, he shouldn't have gone over and killed the guy, but at the same time I understand why he did it. I'm not saying it was right, but I understand why he did it. You know, anybody in that situation would have been pissed off. If somebody did this to your family member, you know, your friend, you know, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, anybody would be furious if this happened to somebody they loved. And so I can perfectly understand where the boyfriend's rage came from. And the boyfriend didn't kill the secretary. So the scumbag at his fake studio had a secretary. The boyfriend didn't kill the secretary. The boyfriend just killed the guy who did this to his girlfriend. So, but the secretary saw everything that happened. So it, like I said, it's like you gotta look at each case by case, and sometimes cases are like, you know, a bit more complicated. But if you want to know what happened to the guy, the detectives basically told the guy that the guy was a scumbag, and they told him that, you know, if you confess to this, that we'll do our best to help you get through this. And he confessed to it, and he ended up, I think he got like a 15-year prison sentence for that, which I don't think that was fair. I don't think he should have gotten a 15-year prison sentence. Because that guy, what that guy was doing to a lot of girls, that guy would have been in prison for life, probably. The amount of girls that he sexually assaulted and the amount of, you know, girls that he scammed, he would have been in prison for decades, that guy. If he, but the boyfriend and the girlfriend probably should have gone to the police. That probably would have been the best thing, but I don't think that him getting like 15 years in prison, I don't think that was fair. And I don't think that was justified. So when I'm talking about murders, I'm talking about specifically cold-blooded murders, where somebody kills an innocent person that didn't do anything bad to them. And like those kinds of people should be in prison for life. I don't think they should ever get out. But like in this case, technically this was murder, what the boyfriend did, because he planned it out and he killed the guy. But at the same time, the guy he killed was a massive scumbag. And at the same time that guy wasn't going to be scamming any more girls and wasn't going to be hurting any more girls. So it's a, you know, more complicated thing when you think about. But that's you know, that's it. You know, that's it. It was just like I say, it was like a mess of a situation that case was. Okay, let me see here. Okay, we got both key cards. Okay. Okay, I'm coming back to you guys here. Yeah. Oh, you already at the vault? Okay, why don't get the main loot yet. Get the gold first, because if you get the main loot, more guards are gonna spawn. Somebody come up here to me and help me get the gold up here.
You must enter them at the same time.
Okay, I'm coming. Okay, do it.
Excellent.
But that story that I was telling you guys about the boyfriend killing the guy who scammed his girlfriend, like I said, like, you know, he shouldn't have done that. He should have just gone to the police with that instead. But the guy he killed was a massive scumbag. So it was, so I actually feel much more bad for the boyfriend in that case. Like I said, I'm not saying what he did was right, but I feel bad for the fact that he got 15 years in prison for that. Okay. Wait, you're getting the gold mark? Okay, here, open this. Okay. I wish you could pick up money like this in the casino, like this. Did everyone get full bags? You still got what? Okay. I think it's good enough though, here. Wait, yeah, okay, let's get this then. I'll open it here quickly. Yeah, I mean, technically, when the boyfriend killed the scammer, he saved a lot of women. He did. Because that guy wasn't going to stop. He was going to keep sexually assaulting more women. But I'm saying is, it probably would have been better for him to go to the police, because then the police could have gotten on that guy's case immediately, and the boyfriend could have said, this guy's a menace, he needs to be stopped right away, or he's going to, hurt more girls. But, the boyfriend put himself in that bad situation and, spent over a decade of his life in prison. And I can't imagine how that girl feels also, because that girl probably feels responsible that her boyfriend is in prison for that too. So she probably felt horrible about that as well. So it's not her fault, I'm not saying it is. But like, her telling her boyfriend about that, she probably feels some level of responsibility for it too. So it's let's get to the gate. Get to the gate quick, everyone. We're good anyways. Just quick. Hit it quick. The gate before they spawn. But what do you guys think about that case that I talked about? I didn't really, did his girlfriend stay for him? I don't know. I don't know that part. Yeah, we're gonna get out here. Take the Jeep and just drive into the water. I'll take the bike. Let's go. This is how stupid GTA's combat is sometimes. Oh, I'm shooting him with like a 50 caliber handgun. And it's just... Okay, this side here, guys.
Be careful. Hey, if you're looking for the sub, I had to put it somewhere else while you were inside. Well, judging from their comms, it sounds like Mr. Rubio is reaching for his helicopter again.
Okay, we got this. We got a good run, though, there. Over $3 million. Nice.
Good work, but we do not go until everyone is ready.
Okay, What do you think about channels who just target India? Well, it's like I said, Ian. Like, people have a misconception of scammers, and they think that the vast majority of scammers are from India, but that's not true. You know, while telemarketing scams might be more common in India, there are other kinds of scams that are more common in other countries. Like I said, like there's you know, in Eastern Europe, like, you know, where my parents are from, insurance scams are much more common there than like in other parts of the world. But it's all about enforcement. That's what it's primarily about. It's about the reason that so many telemarketers, you know, are in those countries, in that area, is because the governments and the police don't really do anything to stop these scammers. Because the scammers are targeting outside their countries. But there are scams that, you know, are more prevalent in other countries. Like, you know, most hackers are in, you know, most hackers are from Russia, for example. And that's because the Russian government doesn't do anything about that when they hack outside of Russia. Crypto scams are common in the U.S., yeah. But yeah, the point is that, you know, while telemarketer scams might be more common in Asia, for example, there's scams that are more common in other countries that people do. So scammers are not just telemarketers; they're just all kinds of scammers. But you know, India could solve this telemarketing, you know, scam problem just by enforcing the law on these scammers. Just whenever these, you know, YouTubers come to the Indian police and say, you know, we have the location of these scammers, raid these centers. I know sometimes they do, but there's so many of these centers that it's so they just start, once the police start enforcing it, you'll see these scammers it'll start dropping really quickly. It's all about enforcement. What do you think about the conspiracy theory of the elite system? Well, I don't know what you mean by the elite system. Do you mean like, you know, world government? Is that's what you're talking about? If you're talking about that, like there's some like elites that are like plotting world domination. No, I don't necessarily believe in that. However, though, I do believe that there are like really rich people who have massive power in politics and are you know, they have massive influence over government policy and a lot of stuff. I do think that, because if you look at the American justice system, for example, do you know that there are some crimes that people go into prison for longer than murderers? And like murderers sometimes will get out after 20 years in prison. But there are certain crimes that people commit that they'll be in prison for life. And do you know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about financial crimes. Like there are scammers out there, like scammers like that do the, you know, the Ponzi schemes and stuff like that. And when those people get caught, they get sentenced to life in prison. And the thing about that is I'm a bit puzzled by that. And what those people did was wrong. I'm not saying that it was right or justifying it by any means, but they mostly ripped off really rich people with those scams, like those, you know, Ponzi scams and stuff like that. It's like really, really rich people that they hurt most of the time. And those people get sentenced to life in prison. But then somebody goes and like breaks into somebody's house, murders somebody, and they get like 20 years in prison. So how does that make any sense? Because why does somebody who murders somebody gets like 20 years in prison, but then somebody who like runs a Ponzi scheme gets life in prison? I don't seem to understand the reasoning for that. And that's like, when you look at stuff like that, you look at where the justice system is that basically we're saying that we value money stolen, more over human life. That's basically stuff like that. It's like, why does somebody who rips off the rich, you know, get sent to life in prison, but then somebody who murders somebody gets like 20, 25 years? I don't get that. So if somebody who took another human life is going to get out faster than somebody who stole millions of dollars from rich people. So that's what I personally been, you know, I never understood that personally about like that. So I do think that there are like really rich people that do set like laws and like have influence in government. I don't think it's like conspiracy level, but I do think that there is like favoritism definitely towards the rich. You know, just with examples like that I was telling you about. How to unlock the last mission in Vice City? You have to own most of the businesses, complete the Printworks, the Malibu Club, the Protection Asset Ring. I'm thinking of a few more. Old call centers in some countries still have customers' personal information. Well, it's what I'll say is that the call center scammers are the easiest scammers to mess with because they're the easiest to track down. But there are, you know, a lot of other prevalent scams, but they're just not as common. But there are a lot of scams that you can see, for example, that, like, you know, white people do a lot of times that you might not hear about a lot in the media. And go on YouTube and just look up like hidden camera investigation, and you'll see a lot of scams. Like there's duct cleaning scams, there's mechanic scams, there's, you know, insurance fraud scams. A lot of these scams that you might not necessarily hear about that are very common. But when somebody's trying to rip you off, they're pulling a scam. Well, a lot of people actually don't know. So, you know, when somebody's like, when somebody is like trying to rip you off at a mechanic place, they are pulling a scam on you technically. Okay, thank you on converting. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for inviting me to your heist. Yes, I did play Freedom Fighters, and Freedom Fighters was a really good game. I did enjoy it. No, what do you mean, peeps? What happened to CJ after San Andreas? Probably retired. Oh, hey, Mario. I don't really want to get into that right now, Miguel. It's just really horrible what's happening over there. Pearl, what happens to kid murderers? I mean, people who are under 16 and murder somebody. It depends on the state. It depends on the state that they're in. Some states might give them a more lenient sentence, but some states could try them as an adult. If they can prove that they knew everything that they were doing, they might try them as an adult, and so they might get the exact same punishment as an adult. Yes, I'll play the true crime games one day. Hey, professional, in Turkey, we got the most corrupt president reelected. Well, I'm sorry to hear about that. I'm not that knowledgeable about Turkish politics. Just a guy, Erdogan, I think his name is. I know he's been like, what, 20 years president, but I don't know that much more about it. I do know though that he about him, I know that he supports like neo-Ottomanism. He basically thinks that like the countries that were part of the former Ottoman Empire should be basically ruled by Turkey. And I know a lot of people, you know, outside of Turkey, like, you know, in Syria and Iraq, really don't like him for that. But I don't know, you know, about his policies inside Turkey itself. I like the hat. Where can I get it? Oh, I got this on Amazon. Just look up fedoras on Amazon, and you'll probably find one. Do you remember Dahlia's, what is it, twin from Ace Attorney? Yes, I remember her. She tried to frame her. Adam Kane Marcus is a famously responsible father, isn't that right? Yep. Oh, okay, Phoenix. I considered it. I did go to school for law enforcement, but, you know, I did get kind of, I did consider being a lawyer at one point, but I do YouTube, and I enjoy YouTube, and I don't have to go through a lot of stress that as much as I, even as much as I used to have in retail. What was a culture shock that you got when you moved to the Midwest? What I noticed is that one thing that I noticed about the Midwest is that people drive much more cautiously. Where in New York, people rush, they honk. I don't really see that happening in the Midwest that much. People are much more considerate when you're driving on the highway. Like, if somebody sees you behind them on the highway in the Midwest, you know what they do? They typically change lanes just to let you pass. And that I've seen that happen a lot of times. But in New York, for example, people are not going to change lanes to let somebody pass. People in New York, when they're driving, they will be in the right lane, even if they don't they'll be not necessarily the right turning lane, but the right lane, even if it's going straight. So, like, if they don't need to turn right, they're going to be in the left lane. But, like, people in New York do that all the time, where they'll be in the right lane, and they will, even if they don't have to turn right, and they'll just hold people up that could be turning right. So that's the thing, that the driving I've noticed. The one thing that I do miss a little bit about New York is that in New York, there's plenty of 24-hour places. So, like, you can pretty much do anything you wanted 24 hours. But here, there a lot of places just close. Close at 10, 11 p.m. You will not see any 24-hour places, anything like that in the Midwest. So that is a thing. People tend to go to bed a lot earlier here. Another thing, what else did I notice about the Midwest? People are much more direct with you. Somebody is not going to, like, how would I say, they're going to be much more straightforward with you when they're explaining something. Like, in New York, they'll be a little bit more complicated about something when they're explaining it, but here they'll be more straightforward, more simple about explaining things, if that makes sense. Yeah, so I love that when games have a soundtrack that's not copyrighted. Are you replaying the story? Oh, this, no, I completed the story here. See? These are my save games. I completed the story here. 70%, that's the one that I completed. The reason that this was the last time I played single player was when I was recording my Michael and Trevor video and, like, all of that other stuff. And so that's why that's why I'm here. But that's why I still have missions to do. Do you prefer the Midwest over New York? Yeah, for the most part. Like, yeah. There are a few things that I've noticed, though, that, people, when you're paying for, like, a service, is here in the Midwest, people don't want to be paid until the job is done. Where in New York, they don't mind accepting the money when it's before the job. There is another thing about it is, and I'm not trying to insult New York when I say this. I'm not, because I'm from New York. But I've noticed that people are much more willing to be honest with you about something. And I'll give you guys a perfect example. When I was, the guy that was helping me to purchase my first rental property, right? The guy that was helping me to purchase it, when he was helping me to purchase my rental property, he was very straightforward with it. Like, if he found something wrong with the house that I was looking at, he would tell me immediately. Where I've seen a lot of New York State, for example, to be fair, this was my first, real estate agent that I dealt with. So maybe, I got good luck. Maybe the scammers that are, I'm sure there's scumbag real estate agents here in the Midwest, but I've seen a lot of real estate agents in New York who they will just immediately try to sell things. They will try to do that. Like, that's my parents ran into. My parents went through a few real estate agents, and they were just all trying to sell. They would never warn them about things. But the real estate agent I had was a good guy, and it goes to show that not every real estate agent is a scumbag. and he would basically tell me like there's something wrong with the house, and I would send him like a link. I'd be like, you know, do you think this is like a good property that I should get and stuff like that. And even if it was like, you know, a property that he thinks he could flip or something like that, or sell, you know, sell with me, he would basically just reply to me and he'd be like, no, we're not going to look at that property. And I would ask him like, why? And he would say because the owner wants too much for that property. He's overpricing it by a lot. There's not even any point in negotiating with him because he wants way too much than the property is worth. So we're not looking at that one. And I was like thinking to myself like, wow, I'm like, I've never heard somebody say that to me. Like, he's overpricing it. We're not going to bother negotiating with him because he's going to try to rip you off. So that's like, because I haven't seen, you know, people go out of their way like that to make sure that somebody's not getting ripped off. But I also saw it happen where I had there was a guy who did my home inspection, right? And the guy who did my home inspection, like when I was purchasing the rental, he went through the whole thing, looked at it. There was only a few minor problems with the house, but I got that fixed pretty quickly. But he was telling me like horror stories about how when he would go and inspect the house, that there would be like real estate agents that would say to him, oh, like, why did you tell him that? I was going to sell the house. So he's told me he encountered like a bit of scumbags too. But that same guy who actually did the inspection for like the rental property that I purchased, right? I had him at my house last year, and he does a bunch of other things. And so one of the things that he was doing is he was changing my faucet for me, because the faucet that I had in the kitchen was broken. Like, it just like it was loose, and so I didn't know how to change that. I didn't want to mess with it because last thing I needed was just messing something up and the water coming out and everything like that. And so, you know, I got him together. He knows how to fix a lot of that stuff, and he was doing that for me. And at the same time that he was fixing like the faucet in my kitchen, I had another guy that was downstairs, and the other guy that I had downstairs was from a different company. But this guy, what he was doing is he was cleaning out the chimney in my house, in my rental, and he was examining the chimney. And so this guy was like a young guy. Like, this guy was probably like younger than me, probably I'd say early 20s. And yet he was like the chimney, like, you know, guy to like do the inspections and stuff. Like, that's who they sent over. Now, I don't know whether it was lack of experience or whether he was trying to scam me. I don't know. But basically, he comes to me and he tells me, he's like, you should get the chimney changed. Like, the chimney is like, you know, bad. It's eventually going to go bad, and you should get it changed. And I told him, like, you know, how much is this whole thing going to like cost me? He's like, between $4,000 to $5,000. And I was like thinking to myself, I was like, my God, like, and what happens is the guy who's fixing the faucet upstairs, the maintenance guy, overhears it. He comes downstairs and he says to me, what did you say? You said this was $4,000 to $5,000. He's like, that's right. And then he's like, no, Patrick, don't listen to that. It's like, no, your chimney is fine. He's like, and I'm like, are you sure about that? I told him that, and he's like, listen, I know another company that they do chimney repairs. They inspect chimneys. Like, give them a call. Just have a second opinion. And he's like, don't listen to him right now. He basically said that to me right in front of him. And the guy was like arguing like a bit back and forth, like, you know, this is wrong. And he tells me that he's the guy who was defending me tells me he's not an expert, but he tells me that he doesn't see anything wrong with the chimney himself. He said, call this other company, they're good. And so what I did was I paid the guy for the inspection, who came over and like looked at my chimney, but I didn't like, you know, agree on any kind of chimney replacement or anything like that. And so I get the other company, they send a much older guy. He takes a look at my chimney, you know, checks everything. I didn't tell him about the other guy, the first guy that came over. He takes a look at it and he's like, your chimney is good to go. And, you know, everything's good, everything's clean, you know, everything's fine. And I said to him, I'm like, should I get this changed? Is my chimney going bad? Is there something wrong with it? And stuff like that. And he tells me no. And I didn't, at that point, I didn't tell him the whole story. I told him, like, because I wanted to tell him the story afterwards, just to see what he would say. And he told me that there's nothing wrong with my chimney. And I pointed the exact spots the guy pointed at, and he said, no. He did the exact same thing my dad's friend who was a mechanic did. He said, that part is just old, but there's nothing wrong with it. And he said, your chimney is fine, because this is a chimney that was built in 2012. So the house was built in 2012, and the chimney was built with the house. So the chimney is like 10 years old. And he tells me how he has like a chimney in his house that's 30 years older than mine, and is still going good. And so he said that this is everything. What he's just saying is like a little old. It's you know, but other than that, there's nothing wrong with it. So that's pretty much what he was saying, is that there was nothing wrong with it and that the chimney was fine. And you know, I'm gonna get another chimney cleaning done, you know, soon, because the winter has just passed. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna call that same guy who looked at it for that. But that's for people asking me about the Midwest, is I noticed that, you know, people can be more direct with you, and like I know there's scumbags out there, scammers everywhere, but I've never seen something like that happen in New York, where like somebody will try to stop you and they'll say no, don't listen to that person. It's like you know, that yeah, usually people are just trying to upsell. But that was it. Like I said, I'm not trying to insult New York. I'm from there originally, but I just haven't had that much good experience with like a lot of people. Dealing with a lot of people personally. And would you say you were close to your parents? Yeah, I would say that. I would say I'm probably a little bit more closer to my mom than my dad, but I'm still pretty close to my dad too. Thanks for the heist, Pro. I had a lot of fun. Thank you on converting. But yeah, I had a good relationship with my parents. I remember Air Duct Repairman tried to charge $500 and was scamming the people. Yeah, there was that. Do you know the Chris Hansen, the guy who was does the To Catch a Predator? He actually did videos where he was taking on scammers too. Look that up, and it was look up Chris Hansen air duct scammers, and there would be like a thing where the air duct scammers will come in, and then he'll come in. And he'll be like, you know, Chris Hansen right here. He's like, why are you trying to scam this old woman for air duct? And then basically what happened is Chris Hansen then brings in the expert, and he brings in like 2 experts, and they look at the same air duct and they say there's nothing wrong with it. And so that was that. But so yeah, there's a lot of these scammers. When you call like repairmen to your house, be careful who you're dealing with, because there's a lot of scammers. But I personally like I personally think to myself, I'm like, you know, what a bunch of scumbags. And I'm like, how can people sleep at night doing this stuff like this? Like, you know, just lying to people about this stuff, needing that you need to, you know, get a new chimney, or like lying that you need to, you know, that your air ducts are broken or something. Like, how can you lie to people about that and like just sell them stuff that they don't need and like feel good about yourself? I don't know how people honestly sleep at night like doing stuff like that. It's just a bunch of scumbags. I would never be able to do something like that to somebody. Let's see. Hey, Pro, after the playing the first Fallout games, try the Wasteland games, the one that came out in 1988, while the latest one is in 2020. Okay, I could look into that, random gamer. What, the laser is going to get nerfed in the new DLC? How do we know that? Who will win a fight? Nico Bellic or Aiden Pierce? Both are broken. Probably Aiden Pierce, because he has access to much more technology than Nico. Once a month, I usually dust my TV stand. When Modern Warfare 3 came out, I felt burnt out. Oh. Yeah, well, I guess because it's the 3rd Modern Warfare game. But yeah, when people... basically, it's me talking to a lot of these scammers. Like I said, is, you know, don't listen to the people who tell you that most scammers are from India. That's just, you might just hear about the telemarketer scams. But there is plenty of scams that you will just encounter personally in real life. And a lot of times white people that are also doing this in, like, you know, air duct scammers, mechanic scammers, you know, chimney scammers. You know, there's a lot of these, like, you know, so many different scams. Insurance fraud scammers. It's all over the place. There's so many places that you could possibly get scammed, and it's just ridiculous watching out for all those scams. There's just too many of them. Yeah, scammers are everywhere. It's just disgusting. Are you stopping the stream? Yeah, I'm gonna wrap up the stream right now here. Have you left the country before? Last time I was in Poland in 2010. No, I never played State of Emergency. Well, I guess I'll be wrapping up the stream here, guys. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. I hope that you guys enjoyed the stream. And, you know, if you did, do drop a like. And I will see you guys on the next one. Take care, everyone. Have a wonderful day, guys. Thank you for hanging out with me.